All right, so let's start with the big story that we're tracking on WION at this hour. Amidst rising tensions between the federal government and the Tigray forces, the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has rejected dialogue with the leaders of the defined Tigray region on Friday during an African Union meeting. The Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ruled out any diplomatic dialogue with the leaders of the region on Friday, but said that he's still willing to speak to some representatives who operate legally in the area. The meeting came as the Ethiopian news agency reported the military's capture of several key towns around the Tigray capital of Mekelle, as more people have fled from the city ahead of a promised final phase of the offensive. During the African Union meeting, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed further said that he and his government will be protecting innocent civilians who are caught in the conflict in the northern Tigray region. Meanwhile, at least about one rocket fired from Ethiopia's northern Tigray region targeted neighboring Eritrea on Friday night. The regional diplomats have confirmed that the fighting has raged on in several areas outside of Mekelle. However, Tigray People's Liberation Front has not yet claimed responsibility for the attack. Ethiopia's Prime Minister has now ordered for a final phase of the offensive on Thursday, saying that the deadline for surrender has expired. Now, the ultimatum was rejected by the leaders of the region, whose forces have been fighting the federal troops for several weeks now. Hundreds of federal troops headed towards the conflicted region on Friday after the Prime Minister ordered for a final attack against the Tigray leaders. At least about 43,000 people have already fled from Ethiopia to escape the fighting. Several aid organizations in Sudan are trying to work and house thousands of refugees who have trickled in from Ethiopia. The Rakuba camp, meant to house about 5,000 refugees, is now almost double that capacity of refugees who've come in. The Sudanese Red Crescent, along with the UNHCR, are also aiming to put together nearly about 4,000 extra shelters to house another 20,000 people.
4,000 مسكن، كل مسكن يسع 5 أفراد، أسرة من 5 أفراد. المعسكر ده سوف يسع بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى 20,000 من اللاجئين في هذا المعسكر.
Many people have been killed in the fighting and airstrikes that erupted on the 4th of November, sending thousands of refugees into neighboring Sudan after the government accused the TPLF of attacking a federal military base. The conflict is rooted in the long-standing tensions between the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the powerful regional party, and the central government. TPLF has argued that the central government has marginalized the Tigrayan people since having assumed power. All right, now to get us more insights in terms of what's actually playing out in this conflict in Ethiopia, we're joined in by Samuel Getachew. He is a journalist and joins us live from Addis Ababa. Samuel, let me begin by asking you this. What's exactly happening presently in the Tigray region? Has the ground offensive with the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed had been speaking about after the expiration of the ultimatum, has that now started in the capital of Tigray?
Yeah, they're very close. They're getting as close as it gets. The government believes they'll finish the whole operation by Monday or Tuesday, the latest. The TV station of the region was suspended. Everyone assumed it was hit by the government troops, but that wasn't to be. They said they were just changing studios. It makes you wonder why they're changing studios, because they expect this to go on and have some kind of military activities within the city of more than 500,000. You have to know the last time the population was counted was in 2007. So the population is much higher than 500,000. And also the refugees you mentioned, 43,000. I'm glad you said more than 43,000 because those are the official numbers. There are also more people that have fled to the Sudan looking for some kind of safety.
Now, at this point of time, what's actually at the heart of conflict? Because we have the TPLF, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, and the central federal government under Abiy Ahmed. Why is it that the two are at loggerheads with each other?
You know, from day one, the Prime Minister said it was a conflict between the Ethiopian government and the TPLF leadership in Mekelle, which he has already suspended and implemented his own administration within Addis Ababa, managing the region of Tigray. As you know, or as you may know, the TPLF was in government for 27 years before Abiy came to power. So they've been in power for so many years. They have a record of all kinds of stuff. In terms of development, they pushed Ethiopia from an aid society to one of the biggest economies in the region. The Renaissance Dam was an idea that was implemented by former TPLF Prime Minister Mallas Zenawi. But they also wanted to make Ethiopia more like China by making it a development nation, which focuses, instead of human rights, it would focus on development. And he once said Ethiopia was ready perhaps for some kind of democracy in 50 years. So they abused human rights. They cheated on elections. The 2005 election that Ethiopia held, they did not even count the votes at the end when they knew they were losing. They decided to endorse themselves and march on. So people have this misgivings about TPLF.
Right now, at this point of time, because this is a conflict where the federal government in Addis Ababa has launched an offensive, a ground offensive on one of its own provinces. Give us a sense as to how popular is this measure by Abiy Ahmed for launching this ground offensive to try and expel what he describes as now the TPLF, the rebels, against his administration? Because this is a ground offensive within his own nation. How popular is this within Ethiopia?
We don't have a firm or a company that would tell us exactly how people are feeling, because if you go outside, just outside and speak to the average Ethiopians, those that have never been to the region of Tigray, they would say that they're very happy, they're content with the action of the government, and they support the military. If you go to the blood drives around town, you see many people donating blood, livestock, resources, money, all kinds of stuff. But when you knock on doors and speak to those that have connection to the region, children, elders, and cousins, and so on, you begin to sense that this isn't a conflict that's uniformly endorsed by everyone. It's a wedge issue like every conflict, and it depends on who you speak to.
Right, at this point of time, is there any possibility at all that there could be some kind of talks between the administration of Abiy Ahmed and the TPLF leaders? Because Abiy Ahmed has said that he's willing to talk to anyone who can legally represent the people of Tigray. What does he mean when he says legally represent the people of Tigray?
He means that he doesn't want to speak to the TPLF leadership. He's implemented his own person in Tigray, and I assume he means he wants to speak to the one he appointed. But the TPLF and Abiy have been having this conflict for a while. The Prime Minister, in all fairness, has listed all the efforts he's made to bring some kind of ceasefire, including sending elders to the Tigray region to speak to the leadership, offering all kinds of benefits, even saying if you retire in peace, we'll protect you. You won't be criminally charged for what you may have done as a compromise. But that wasn't accepted by the TPLF leadership. I mean, that's what provoked the whole conflict, including their willingness to hit a military base, a federal military base, and kill soldiers in the open. Also hold an election when the government kept saying it's against the constitution of the country to hold your own election, when the rest of the country have paused because of the COVID crisis. So it's been going back and forth, and they have a history. Abiy grew up in the era of TPLF, so they have a long history that's beyond all of us.
All right, and last question that I would like to ask you is, what is the role of Eritrea in all of this? We're given to understand that the TPLF reportedly has fired a few rockets into Eritrea. We do not know, because there are unconfirmed reports that the Eritrean troops could be aiding the Ethiopian troops of Abiy Ahmed. What role is Eritrea playing in this?
The Eritrean government under Isaias Afwerki has always blamed the Ethiopian government, the TPLF government, of the old days of attacking it, or vice versa. But it was the Eritrean government that really attacked Ethiopia then. But they waged a war, and many people died. So the Eritrean government has always blamed TPLF. So the TPLF government right now, or the former TPLF government in Tigray, blames or thinks it was this conflict is being done with the help of the Eritrean troops. They're showing us images that we can't even verify, but the Ethiopian side is denying it, that it's an internal conflict. It's been done, and everything is being done by the Ethiopian troops without any assistance from outside. So it's back and forth. With us not being able to travel to the area, it's so hard to verify this information, in all fairness.
And one last question. At this point of time, we're given to understand that journalists have been barred from going into Tigray and reporting on this. Do we know as to how soon the administration of Abiy Ahmed would be willing to let journalists and other international observers into the Tigray region to actually ascertain what's been happening there?
I understand AFP, for example, have been escorted to the Tigray region, but only the region that's under the control of the federal government, so they can report from there. But in terms of allowing independent media to travel to any parts we want, that will take, I think, some time. But the Prime Minister thinks this will be finished in a few days, and everything will be going to back to normal. So I don't know if he means for the people of Tigray or if he means for the media, local or international media. We have to wait and see. It's one of those conflicts with no ends. But with no media going there and being allowed, whatever they say, it's hard to comprehend.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Samuel Getachew, for joining us and getting us all those insights and to put this entire and very complicated conflict in perspective from Addis Ababa.